Bottom left of the map here on Altazim. The third map in the best of 5. We have the Terran player for Team Millennium. It is ForGG with a 2-0 lead already in the series. 1 map win away from advancing to the semi-final here at the ASUS ROG 2014 in Helsinki. And starting to the bottom right, we have his opponent, the Tyrant, not looking as dominant as he did in the past and throughout the rest of this tournament. 0-2 in the best of 5. Can he start his comeback here? We're going to find out right now. It's a very, very different map, a big 4-player map. And maybe we'll even see him go into a double hatch before a pool. This is a map where Terran players really like to go for command center first. And if that actually happens for ForGG, Jaedong might try to do this. But he's doing exactly the opposite. Wow. He's going straight into a 10 pool. He wants to be aggressive here. He wants to take down ForGG right at the beginning and not even leave him a chance to go into that Medivac style.
Yeah, and it has to be with an extractor, of course. If you just make circlings, whether it's from a 6 pool or a 10 pool, there's always... Oh, he doesn't make gas. Okay, so please explain me, because whenever I go random on the ladder and I accidentally get I get Zerg against a Terran, and it's a good Terran, and I'm not very good at random, I go for a 6 pool, and then I get my Zerglings to the Terran base, and they have a wall off on top of their ramp. Well, and I'm like, well, shucks.
The problem is, whatever happens here right now is that, first of all, a 6 pull would be really difficult, since you need the scouting information where your opponent starts. So you could potentially go into a 7 pull, but that forces you to send the Zerglings into the middle of the map, and then you will arrive potentially late. So with this, he has a chance to transition out of it. But what he's kind of doing here is he's hoping that there's a command center first and no wall. I actually had a long discussion with Idra the last time we casted together about this build, and he doesn't really like a 10 pull opening for Zerg against Terran. I personally also think that it's really bad, because if your opponent does anything else but build that command center on the low ground, you will lose that game because there's a wall. But this is Habitation Station, and on this map you have only one wall. Yeah, sorry. Altazim Stronghold. So you have that pocket base. So if you want to go into an early command center, you're going to build it on the low ground anyways.
Right, okay.
On the other hand, though, you wall at the front with a barrack. So if those Zerglings are spotted, which is not the case, he could have just closed that off. But the Lings get in, and this is really very, very map specific. On a different map, it would be a very different game. And now think about that barracks. It might maybe never finish. Those Zerglings are just moving in, and it's just Jaedong is playing not only the opponent in his race, he's playing the map here. And that really works well for him.
All right, so he's taken down 1 SCV so far, halting production a little bit on that barracks, and behind this, like you said, because it's a 10 pool, he's able to transition. He's got a hatchery halfway there, 5 drones making. The longer he can keep these Zerglings alive, which doesn't really seem to be his goal, he just wants to kill as many SCVs as possible, and actually Zerglings are winning the day here against those SCVs.
11 SCVs killed, and now it's 10 SCVs against 18 Harvesters already.
Ouch.
So really nice opening for Jaedong. And think about this map. I really have to highlight this again. On any other map, ForGG will probably build that command center first on the high ground and then float it to the natural.
Right.
But here you can't really do that, because that natural, the ramp is so far away from the position where you want to place down the command center, so you don't really do it. You build it right there at the mineral line, and that's the reason why Jaedong on a big map like this decides to go into a 10 pool.
A great executive decision there by Jaedong, who's already finished his hatchery, is making 2 queens, his macro mechanic. Whereas ForGG's macro mechanic, the orbital command, is being delayed because he simply doesn't have the minerals to start 1 orbital, let alone 2 right now. Normally, they'd have both been finished already, but now he's starting them both at the 5-minute 50-second mark. And that's a tremendous disadvantage.
That's such an important point that you just raised, because we have seen so many Terran players that go, let's just say, into an early third base. They have 3 orbitals, and suddenly there comes a roach bailing attack. They lose every single harvester, but they are still able to start a comeback because they have triple orbital, they have triple mule. ForGG, because of that very aggressive build that Jaedong executed, doesn't even have a single orbital. So he has no mules to make up for the massive difference in harvesters that we saw there in the early stage of the game, and that we still have. It's 15 SCVs against 29 drones, so the income is so much better for Jaedong. He has an incredible start into this game.
Yeah, a really smart build here on this map. Because only on this map he wouldn't do that wall off with the command center. It doesn't make sense to float it to the low ground or then all the way to the pocket expansion from that location.
At the same time, though, think about what would have happened here if ForGG would have sent out a scouting SCV and spotted Jaedong on the first position. He would have realized what was going on, and the first thing that would have happened is, bam, supply depot right there at the wall, and then there is no chance for Jaedong to actually break through. The barracks would have finished, there would have been one Marine, he would have been forced to repair with a couple of SCVs, but that would have put a really big dent into Jaedong's strategy there. But it worked out beautifully well for him, and now he's far, far ahead here in Game 3.
And he would look so silly too, like you're down 0-2, you try to make a comeback, you've got to play safe because one more map loss and you're out, and then, he went for a 10 pull and he got locked out. Can't out-damage the supply depots to the repairing SCVs. But he must have known somehow, or he must have hoped that ForGG wouldn't scout, and it went really well for him.
It is a map where we see a lot of Terran players going to that command center first. It's really a normal play for them. So a lot of Zerg players would just counter that by going double hatch before pool, which also works very well. But this was even better for Jaedong.
Yeah.
It was just a great opening, and he's already getting his third base. There's not a lot of pressure that ForGG can execute right now. Jaedong is going into double evolution chamber for once again having the faster upgrades, and his economy is absolutely stellar right now.
Yeah, it's a far cry from what we saw the last game, that aggression came later. This couldn't have come at a time where it would hurt more because those orbitals weren't finished. So let's see now, 51 drones against 33 SCVs. The ramifications of that early attack are still soundly heard, reverberating through this game. As ForGG has just made about 5 Hellions and has stopped already, even less than he usually makes, trying to make some concessions there. Knowing that really they won't be doing as much effect as they normally will anyway. So he's just getting them for some scouting and already switching to stim bio units here.
Well, the Lings are really trying to put some stop to that aggression there, but there are not enough Zerglings in the Hellions. Well, stuck on the wall for just a second, and with all the Queens, they are in a lot of trouble, but they go through at least one of them. But, well, as you can see, ForGG behind 30 supply and is basically just scouting. That Hellion is not going to get a lot of kills, if any at all. And it's just a really incredible position for Jaedong. Once again, I really have to repeat that. The 1-1 upgrades on the way, the speed upgrade nearly completed for the Overlords. It will give Jaedong the opportunity to scout the main base, to be active with Mutalisks a little bit later on. The Bailing is already about to be completed. Lairtech will lead into Aspire once more. 15 additional drones are now being built. He knows that he can do that. There's nothing that ForGG can do to pressure him. And that leaves the Zerg in a position where he can just tech and expand at leisure.
Yeah, sure, ForGG, you can try to take your third without defenses, wall off, or anything. It's a good try, but it's not going to work. You can't land on this Zergling. It's way too cute. And the rest of the Zerglings are there to help as well. To top it off, a bit of a... oh my god, double Overlord will spread creep really quickly.
What we basically see here is a 20-minute death animation of ForGG. That's kind of what's happening here. If Jaedong doesn't mess up, he is going to win this game with flying colors. But, well, there is always, of course, the potential that you make one mistake, that you miss micro for a second, that you have a lacking unit control because you're occupied in somewhere else on the map. And we've seen how dangerous ForGG can be once he has the Medivacs in the picture. And that is exactly the case right now. But look at the timing that we see here for the first few Medivacs and for the Spire. The Mutalisks, they will be ready. They should be. But at this point, Jaedong supply block for a few seconds with all the additional Overlords heading into +2/+2. Terran player not even completed with the 1-1 upgrades. We have Baneling speed about to be done and a lot of creep spread now put out on the map to give him just a safety net, whereas the Zerglings move in at that third over and over again and forcing another liftoff.
Yeah, killing that mule that just got landed. No liftoff, as you said, but there were some army, but he did lose the mule. 2-2 upgrades are on the way for Jaedong, keeping that upgrade lead that he had in the previous series as well, but doing way better economically now comparatively to how ForGG is doing. First Mutalisks are on the way, 7 Mutalisks are coming out, 4th base is ready and the gases are being constructed there. Looks like Jaedong, thanks to those Overlords, is completely aware of this coming in. And they won't even be able to deploy. Yeah,
Jaedong saw that coming a mile away, and he's like, oh, that's cute. You're really going to try. Has the Zerglings in position, has the Mutalisks there as well, just waiting for them. Lings running in. The Mutalisks have to be a little bit careful here, though. Jaedong could still lose a lot of units here. If he loses the Mutalisks, that would be horrible for him. But he's just building more and more Lings, more and more Mutalisks, getting the upgrades out, a +1 attack for the Mutalisks as well. And that's always an indicator that the Zerg player doesn't really want to fight. What he wants to do is just go in, do damage, and move out as soon as the defending army is coming in. If you really want to fight, usually go for the armor upgrade instead. Okay. Oh, Lynx in the main base. How did that happen? Whoa. Running straight into that natural, and the Marines are trying to chase them, but those Zerglings are having a field day here.
Damn, those Zerglings, they were stationed at the 4th base of ForGG and suddenly decided the time is right to see if your due diligence is in place. Are your supply depots up? Are you quick enough?
Those were Ninja Zerglings. Ninjalings just sneaking in somehow and doing the damage, at least distracting ForGG, putting him once again in a very defensive position. And Jaedong right now, just looking at it, has currently 84 army supply against 78, 76 supply in workers against 64. It's a really nice advantage for him in tech, in income, in army, and it's just trying to really dominate the map. I would love to see him going straight into an infestation pit to prepare Hive, because it's something that he can really, really afford.
Don't you think, all things considering, that ForGG is still doing really well to keep up? Supply-wise, army-wise, upgrade-wise, he isn't as far behind as I would expect.
He's still quite far behind SCVs. Since he has only started +2/+2, and he doesn't really have a bank. He only has like 3 bases, but you're right in that sense that he's doing everything that he can. He's waiting for Jaedong to make mistakes and maybe have like a wrong split somewhere, and he's not giving up at all. He's 30 supply behind, but it could be way worse. You're absolutely right with that. But it's 4 bases against 3, and Jaedong, it is all about the unit control here. And maybe he's even overextending a little bit with those Banelings right now. He's going to lose a lot of them. But look at those Mutalisks. Those are 19 already, chasing down the Terran army. And one of the things that we do not really see for GG, a lot of Widow Mines. He's only 5 so far, so there's nowhere this minefield that we had in game number 1, or game number 2 even.
He does have the double factory, and he's starting that triple Widow Mine production as he realizes he's missing some of those numbers too. Of course, he traded off a lot of them in several fights. So maybe that's part of it. But yeah, Widow Mines really help very much against Zerg. And we have never seen a Mutalisk flock this big yet from Jaedong in this series, and he uses them very well. He can now one-shot Medivacs, as long as he always makes sure they are backed up by Zerglings and Banelings, and he doesn't use them carelessly. Oh my god, all the Widow Mines exploded!
Really well done there. Nice hit with the Banelings that he had there. Hive Tech also started a big thing to mention here. That was a really good shot with the Widow Mine, so this one definitely paid off. But in general, Jaedong is still looking at 200 supply. So his unit, that's huge gas patches that those drones are currently harvesting. I mean, that must be extra gas that they are getting there. Well, but yeah, like this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. There's just no way for ForGG to really put that pressure on his opponent.
Finally, his 2/2 upgrades finishes. Always if a Terran stays alive and doesn't lose always SCVs and army, if they stay alive and they finally get 3/3 upgrades, they still have a chance, simply because of how good Marines are. But it's up to Jaedong to transition to other techs like fungal growth, ultralisk, and so forth, and that really will put a nail in ForGG's coffin.
The problem is that Jaedong could tech so fast into Hive compared to what he would have been able to do in the games before. And yes, the 3/3 is faster for ForGG, but now Hive is complete, and I would be very surprised if Jaedong doesn't start his own 3/3 within the next 30 seconds. He's trying to catch those Marines off guard for now, and he's always pushing the Terran back, and there's just no additional bases for ForGG. He's still on 3, and Jaedong is moving in. He's even getting the armor upgrades for the Mutalisks right now. He's chasing the bio away. The Banelings charging in once again, and the Mutalisks at the same time are just going straight into that mineral, taking down the Harvesters. 3/3 has been started. Adrenal Glands as well on the production tab. The Ultralisk coming in, 66 additional Zerglings. Way too much better. Jaedong with a first win here in the best of 5, starting his comeback against ForGG.
Yeah, a great performance there by Jaedong. When you make him angry, as they always say, he brings out his true power. And that was a great game to watch.